My name is Erica Bryant. I apologize for being late. The news ended at 6:30 and I got over here without any tickets, so I thought that would be good. So thank you so much for, again, already starting to answer some of the questions I had about whether the perception matches the reality of women and equality. On the surface, it seems we're making strides, but tonight we have the experience and the information in the room to get to the bottom of where we really stand and what we need to do going forward. Now, you just heard from Mrs. Rash, and now I want to introduce Chia-Li Chien, and she will then have about 5 minutes for her opening statements. And I hope during that time you all are writing down your questions, so when we get to our Q&A, we're ready to proceed. Chia-Li Chien is an appointed... Chien. I was reading off his bio. Did someone write this incorrectly? Chia-Li Chien.
That's right.
I apologize. Is an appointed chair of Pro Bono Advisory Committee for the Financial Planning Association on the national level, and an appointed board member of the Women's Advisory Board in Mecklenburg County. Also, Chief Strategist Officer for Value Growth Institute and the Women's Advisory Board member. So please, Ms. Chien, go ahead with your opening comments.
Thank you. Which country is the fifth largest domestic production, gross domestic production country in the world? Does anybody know that? Which country is the fifth largest gross domestic production country in the world? Let me give you a little hint. It's a little bit similar size to Germany, and way ahead of England, Italy, as well as France.
Estonia?
Say that again?
Estonia?
Okay, keep going. We have U.S. here. Taiwan, Thailand, Hong Kong. Well, actually, that's a very tricky question. Let me rephrase the question a little bit. If in the U.S., every single women business owners together is a country, we are the fifth largest gross production, domestic production country in the world. We are similar to Germany, ahead of France, Italy, as well as England. So congratulations for coming so far. So what exactly does that mean from an economic impact from all of us sitting here in the room? That means annually we produce $3 trillion annually. That's a T, $3 trillion. So what does that mean exactly to each one of us here? It means that we as women created 23 million jobs in the U.S. 23 million jobs. That accounts for 16% of overall U.S. jobs. Incredible. So give yourself a big hand. Congratulations. With that kind of accomplishment, all of you know that we, long time ago, finally able to own real estate with our husband. Some of you may not remember that. Long time ago, we finally got the right to vote. And then long time ago, we finally got equal right to get jobs. But today, as you heard from Lisa as well as Betty here, that we still have a huge wage gap. So as I was preparing today's talk, I mentioned the statistics to my husband. So he asked me, how could that be? How could that wage gap be in place? Well, you have to understand, he thinks that I'm a very liberal wife. So he doesn't quite understand why there's an age gap. Now, this is one of my favorite stores. One of them. All right? And so when I get this particular store's annual sales, I remember I used to be the first one in the door because I just don't want to miss the sale, right? And when we talk about the age gap from people like me, more of a financial and number person, What that means to me is a supply and demand. So when there is an wage gap, that means that someone is offering discount, and then there's buyers willing to buy these goods at discount. So what that means is that most of the women, you heard the number before, on a national level, women are holding the sign up and saying, hey, pick me, I'm 22% off. Pick me, I'm 22% off. It gets worse, ladies.
Wow.
That's just Caucasian and black, African American, sorry about that. For the Asians, we're worse. We said, oh, pick me, I'm 34% off. I'm cheaper than them, 34% off. Now, what about Latinos? Well, I have a bigger gap. Here's the Latinos. They're saying I am 51 or 54% off. Now, ladies, are that acceptable? No? Please don't run to your boss tomorrow and start asking for raise. This is just the national statistics. What does that mean to all of us here? Well, it means that if you are accepting that kind of discount, then someone else will start following that. So there are 3 things that I recommend for all of us sitting here to do. Number 1, make yourself indispensable. Make yourself indispensable. When you become indispensable for whatever you're doing, money is no longer an issue. Time and availability becomes an issue. That's good. Demand goes up for that. So make yourself indispensable for whatever you're doing. If you have not read the book from, I believe his name is Seth Gordon, the Linchpin. If you have not read that book, read that book. It's a great book about how to become indispensable in what you're doing. The second thing that I believe we ought to do, as Betty mentioned earlier, is that you have to broaden your network. What I mean by that is not necessarily just to go to a social event like this. Make sure you really make the connections beyond just your friends and family and become part of a voice of the entire group. And the third thing that we all have to do is to continue that relationship, because all of us together can be much stronger, and then all of us together can say that, no, I am not taking the 22% off. I am not taking that 34% off, and I am not taking that 54% off. As a matter of fact, many of my clients, or even my previous boss, always tell me something, and I'm not copying this from the commercial. They always tell me, Chia-Li, you are very expensive. And I always tell them, you know what, I am absolutely worth it. So I want you to say that to yourself. I only have 5 minutes, I know that, so I'll wrap it up very quickly. I encourage you to ask during the Q&A. I have several things that I will cover. That includes the small business women opportunities, whether or not it's in the county or in the national level. I will also cover what type of policy currently from the federal level that are available to protect us from the equal pay situation. I also have information about women and money in general, whether or not we save more than men or we finance more than men. So I have those information as well. And I also have some information to summarize of what we need to do as a group of women to help not only ourselves, but the future generations of the women as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chien.